Good evening and welcome to Caribbean Body Talk, where the vision gets clearer every time. I'm Christina Perry, your host for this evening. My guest tonight is a poet and writer born in Hopetown Village, West Coast, Berbice, Guyana. His name is James C. Richmond. This program is funded in parts today by Guyana Roti House, Washington Consultants, and the Land of Tyree Home Daycare Center. I want to thank you and welcome you, Mr. Richmond, to Caribbean Body Talk.
Thank you very much, Christy.
How are you?
I'm fine, thanks.
Now, as I said, you were born in Guyana, and a lot of your poetry, and specifically this book you've written, Where the Pomeroon Meet, speaks of Guyana. How did you come about to write this book?
First of all, it's a long story that I'll make short.
Okay.
I started writing at the age of 12.
12 years old.
And most of my poems back then were centered on Guyana. Then as I traveled further afield, it started expanding, writing with the Caribbean. And I came to North America. Then I started widening my writing. But I don't only write poetry. I write short stories. I have novels that I've already written. I have manuscripts of those waiting to be published. Now, back to the poetry. Poems about Guyana. These poems were inspired from facts. They were inspired because of my love for Guyana, mainly. You know.
And the poetry that you've written about different topics. Some of them are historical in nature, where you will read this poem, Guyana Awaits, specifically, and it's a history lesson.
Yeah.
About Guyana, and also I noticed you wrote some poetry that is very spiritual.
I'm a spiritual person, you know, Christine. And I think we all are spiritual beings, you know, and poems, I should say, or poetry, it's a reflection of us, human beings. It's a reflection of life, reflection of emotions, death, anything you feel. That's how you get poetry.
And how do you become inspired to write a poem? Do you sit down and say, I'm going to write one? Or is it an event that occurs and all of a sudden you've got a poem in your head and you get to the paper and the pen?
This takes me back to my first poem, which is in this book, Where the Pomeroon Meet. It takes me to that poem, A Dream to Come True. That's the first poem I've written. It's a religious poem. Interesting that you asked that question, because I was actually going through a phase of realizing that there is a God that can save us all. And, you know, when I realized the real idea of God and the saving power of God and so on, this inspired me. You know, and I wrote this poem.
When you were a youth of 12 years old, did you realize that this was going to be your life's work?
No, I did
write?
not. No, I did not. Actually, it was just like a hobby. You know, I can't say I love to write. It was forced upon me.
Really?
Know? Yeah, because I don't like sit down and like wait for, you know, I don't like sit down and say I'm going to write.
Okay.
I wait. Whenever I have any inspiration, then I start writing. And that's why I did this poem, A Dream to Come True. If you want me to just give you a sample of it, I can.
Sure.
He said, it says, that night, the night starts the same as always, but the brilliant brightness it now possesses brightens the rest of our days. Oh, the Lord is here. He is here, alas, He is here. No man can stop us now from going there. Trumpet sound, trumpet sound. Into my ears the richness of it rings. I look north, south, and all about. Praise to the Lord, I send it with my mouth. The brightness still is here, and the trumpet sound is everywhere. The trumpet sound is everywhere. Glad faces, from the ground they wrench the bodies of all races. Then I, into the sky, by the brightness all are drenched. By the brightness all are entrenched. Thank you. That's the first poem
that you wrote.
that I wrote.
This is very profound for a 12-year-old.
I think so.
And I noticed
so.
you have photographs, and accompanying this poem, you have a photograph here of St. George Cathedral.
Yeah, and that's the tallest wooden structure in the world. You know, it's a Catholic church in the capital of Guyana, Georgetown, and it's the tallest wooden structure. So what I decided is this building is identifiable to any Guyanese. So I decided to put it in the area where I have the religious poems. You know, so the impact can be as profound as it should be.
Okay, as I mentioned, a lot of your poetry does relate to Guyana, but do you feel this book has appealed to others aside from those born in Guyana or those of Caribbean descent?
Definitely. As I told you, I left Guyana, traveled forward afield into the Caribbean, then I came to North America. Now, there's a poem, Redunda, that you can find in most National Library of Congress anthologies. It's about an island between Nevis and Montserrat in the Caribbean Sea. And Redunda is a poem about nature. You know, it says, many times and dividing of times have passed. Battered, bruised and abused by snarling waves, time and time again, you remain the encompassed. But nature knew your destined state. You couldn't flout. This was the task you were about. Your nights and days all spent the same, your environs battered with slated waves. 10,000 times 10,000, yet a bulwark all along. On stormy nights and hurricane waves, a bulwark in the dark. At morn, you left me in a state of absolute wonderment. No mortal breath has wished you there to stand but the Almighty's hand. From creation day to this day of days, a target of the waves.
That's definitely something that anyone can relate to.
Thank you.
Also noticed here that you have two poems side by side on the political history of the leadership of Guyana. And did you decide to put them side by side for that reason?
Yeah, I think you're smart. Okay. Yes, you see, lest we forget Bird, Born and Barrow. It's a poem about CARICOM, how CARICOM came about. With these guys going to Antigua, and they started CARIFTA. Then they went to Trinidad later, and they get into CARICOM. And now we know it as CARICOM with all the other islands getting involved in that economic process. Now, we go to the next one, Hush a While, a tribute to Cheddi Jagan, the late president that died recently. Right? I think it's a fitting tribute. This poem is a fitting tribute to him because he started the political process in Guyana. He was the one who brought all the others into politics, right? And that is why I wrote this poem, because a lot of people say a lot of things, and we don't want to deal with race and all of that, but we have to deal with facts, right? And the fact says, a man with dreams and vision came to fight against colonial powers for Guyana's name. A titanic, great and strong, who toiled and toiled so long, yet with fortitude and poetic speed, against those who conspired, he succeeds. A minute to give is not enough. Hush a while. He fathered the nation. Hush. Hush a while. A minute to give is not enough. Your dreams enfold the clouds beyond Guyana's land. The illustrious President Cheddi Jagan gone to the Caribbean, the whole world to see, the poet to say, the dreamer's dreams enlightened me. An epitaph to Cheddi, a stalwart of humanity. A minute to give is not enough. Hush a while. He fathered the nation. Hush. Hush a while. A minute to give is not enough. I think that's appropriate.
Very nice, very nice. Tell me, with the different poetries and things like that, is there a particular style of writing that, or topics? I mean, do you write about other things aside from Guyana and the Caribbean and your experiences? Do you relate to other issues that other people will can relate to? Because I know you write short stories and you have novels and things, so Do they relate specifically to Guyanese issues?
Oh no. This life, just like an individual living life, not in no special location or geographical area. It's just plain novel. A novel that anyone would enjoy, a short story that anyone would enjoy from any part of the world. But the thing you said about if I have any other poems, I do. I have more manuscripts of poetry. And if you want me to get down, I can get down and pull those out of my cookie jar. Right? But in this book, I can also give you another one. But just tell me why. Along another vein, telling you about things that happen in Guyana. It relates to everything in the world. Tell me why. Big shots want to call the shots by keeping the people down, by creating political confusion, by raising their salary and the people got none. Tell me why the children crying. Tell me why. Tell me why the people against you, big shots. What about the family? Water their destiny, checking their bloodstreams on shed tears. What happened in the future? Don't forget your culture. Tell me why the children crying. Tell me why. Tell me why the people against you, big shots. Big shots want to call the shots, checking for their personal gain, doing it brazenly without shame, just to fulfill their selfish aim. Tell me why the children crying. Tell me why. Tell me why the people against you, big shots. And that's a typical example of different types, not really referring to Guyana or any special place. That could be related to any part of the world.
Well, the poetry is very profound, and some of it may be slightly controversial. Have you experienced anything from either persons or organizations that have said anything to you about the poetry, the content of it itself? Because some of it is eye-opening, and these may be issues that people address, say, privately within themselves, but publicly they may not want to.
I think people are too private. That's what I think. People are too private, but I'm a poet, and a poet's job is to crystallize, to make aware. A poet's job is like a prophet's job. But a prophet's job is bigger. Right? A poet's job is to make little things known and big things, crystallize them so people realize what is really going on. Now, it's controversial because I'm on one side and then I'm on another side. I'm looking for truth. I deal with truth. I'm inspired truth and sincerity. That's how I write. When I write the facts, and that's how I write it. That's how when I'm inspired, I just go with the flow.
I know you did some readings recently, a very scenic area in New York, and we would like to show the tape to our viewers. The backdrop is quite lovely, and I know that you're going to share some of your favorite poetry with us now.
I would like to take you on a journey from this book where the Pomeroon meet that comprises 44 poems in your mind to Guyana, doing a poem called Virgin Rose. The land that beauty compose, a monumental virgin rose, the El Dorado which graced the Caribbean Sea, thus ridden by gold, thus ridden by diamond from shore to shore, where Mackenzie sits on bauxite land and Georgetown under the sea. Demerara, Berbice, Hoesi, Kribozi we adore. Sweet Guyana, the virgin rose. Sweet, sweet Guyana, the virgin rose. The stormy reaches of Kaicho Falls I stand, then my skeletal bend and washes my hand on Niagara Falls land. My rivers, streams, and rushing lakes host 63 beach excursion fun. There sugarcane grazed the land for God's sakes, and the magical 365 islands under the sun. Sweet Guyana, the virgin rose. Sweet, sweet Guyana, the virgin rose. Now, I would also like to do Where the Pomeroon Meet, the title of the book, still in our minds, we continue to go down the river, Essequibo, where the Pomeroon meet, to get my pot of gold, my journey to complete. Under the shores like men of yore, toiling in the sun and heat, of this blessed earth my melodic songs will seek, like poetry and the reverent hymn with reverence meek. I bow my mud-caked feet on the ground that my God did speak, and shout to the heavens, my Eldorado I found which men seek. To journey home along my river's banks and caves, my vivid dream and my Cinderella will come to talk in lofty phrase of my travels and things I had seen under the moonlit sky of the days, bringing to life a newborn to the essence of life once left amaze, and the things that men found can never be heaven bound and crave, like food to return to the Pomeroon, to refill the vision of all age. All sons and daughters will journey to and always will remain in Guyana's heartland, where from the bosom remembers again, even in solitude and distant lands, and will hasten to bring fame to my beloved mother or father, my heartfelt love, a heart which bled in pain, Demerara, Berbice, Essequibo, where the Pomeroon meet, Guyana remain. And I'd like to let you remember, as I do, lest we forget, Bird, Burnham, and Barrow, the men who came together, started Carifta, and which turned into CARICOM. It says, Bird, Burnham, and Barrow, men of knowledge and wisdom, glimpsed the vision of tomorrow. They led the way to unite the Caribbean at Dickinson Bay. Lest we forget, lest we forget.
I'd like to remind you that you're watching Caribbean Body Talk, a BBC presentation where the vision gets clearer every time. Our special guest this evening is Mr. James C. Richmond, a poet and writer. What you have just seen is a beautiful recital of James's poetry with a beautiful Caribbean water backdrop in Brooklyn, New York. We just also saw a framed version of your poem, Virgin Rose. Is there any significance why that poem is framed so beautifully?
Yes, definitely. You see, this poem speaks about the grandeur of Guyana, and it also tells you about the immigration from Guyana. Mm-hmm. And it also tells you that people's mind reflect back to Guyana. Mm-hmm. That's why it's so well done.
Okay, yes, there's a beautiful artwork to accompany the words. Tell me, in the future, do you have any plans for other books?
Yeah. Or
more poetry in your future?
Yeah, definitely. Other books, also poetry. Mm-hmm. Poetry first, because I love poetry. And I have 2 manuscripts presently in the works I'm trying to get rid of this year, get into book form. Mm-hmm. One is On the Window of My Skin, and the other one is Precinct of Design. Mm-hmm. I can just give you a little sampling quickly if I have time.
Okay, sure.
With one, Back to My Mother. This is about Mother's Day affair. That's the title of it. It says, to feel the thrill within your enfolding love, suckle to your breast in deep caress, peace and love descend from above. Let all the love and caring you gave me from the start, and every lesson you taught me from the heart, be now to you in part. And when every Mother's Day appears, my heart shall reappear, a heart of love with gifts to spare, to bring to you within peace and satisfaction. And hugs and kisses shall tell the rest of my devotion, not only on Mother's Day, but throughout the year, a Mother's Day affair. Christine.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
That's a sample from On the Window of My Skin.
Okay, so you have, that's part of an upcoming publication.
Yeah.
Because you are such a well-versed poet, do you have any words of encouragement to anyone who's thinking about maybe pursuing poetry as just something that they can do to relax? Or maybe publish and become a published author like yourself?
Encouragement, just persevere. Mm-hmm. Sharpen your craft, and just be led by the Spirit of God. Mm-hmm. That's basically what I would say.
That's worked for you,
yes.
And it's worked quite well. What is the reaction when you go in public and you recite your poetry? How do people react to it as far as touching? Because of course you take the book home and you read it, but when you recite it, it gives a lot of power to the words.
Yes, we kind of relate. We kind of it brings us together. People understands what I'm really talking about them when they heard the spoken word.
Right.
The spoken word is what make everything feels good, you know. And people do respond well.
You've done a wonderful job. Do you find young people more in tune to this, or older people, or children? I mean, what is the general audience that really picks up on the word?
Young and old. Well, children, don't understand everything.
Right.
But young and old people, yes, they do respond favorably.
So, James, what is your favorite poem?
All of them.
All of
okay. Virgin Rose. See,
Okay.
Virgin Rose speaks to Guyana, the place I love. It also tells you of the immigration from Guyana.
Okay.
That's the line that says, then my skeletal bend and washes my hand on Niagara Falls land. It tells you about the love and the craving to return to Guyana. You know, that's why it's my favorite poem, you know, because it's a place that I love, a place that I will go back to, you know.
I understand you do more than poetry.
Yeah. And of course, I do songs, and I can just give you a sample of one of my songs.
Okay.
In Survivor's Anthem, I can give you the lyrics, you know, I love the lyrics.
Okay, share that with me.
Things are not the way it used to be. Nothing at all seems the same. The more I try to open my eyes to see, the more and more I'm getting the blame. And the chorus says, the moon and the stars are all I see. Imagine someone singing it to you. The rippling blue sea keep beckoning me. Then the second verse says, I have tried from the time I knew to make my life a satisfaction. I was born and then I grew. I'm now a man of great ambition. The chorus again. The moon and the stars are all I see. The rippling blue sea keep beckoning me. The time has come to reach for the stars. No denying my recognition. The shining star shineth from afar, telling them there is no competition. The moon and the stars are all I see. The rippling blue sea keep beckoning me. Fighting against the stormy weather. We're all in this thing together. For the life of man, let us strive forever. The moon and the stars are all I see. The rippling blue sea keep beckoning me. Get Luther Vandross to do that song for you.
You got a hit, right?
Yeah.
So, tell me, because you are experienced in poetry as well as your short stories and writing lyrics, is there any one particular element that you think that makes this, you know, so easy for you? Or is it easy for you? Cause
it's not really easy for me.
It seems so natural.
It's natural for me. Natural because I don't know, I cannot explain it fully. Sometimes I dwell into it and I try to come up with the answer. But it's natural for me because I think it's inspiration because of God, because of my honesty, because of my sincerity, you know. I think that's why things come so easy to me, and I'm very observant. I've been up since I was small. I love to observe nature. I love to listen. You know, I prefer to listen than to talk. To tell the truth.
Well, you did very good job of talking, and I want to thank you so much for joining me here on Caribbean Body Talk. And is there anything you would like to say to our viewers?
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you, Kristen. Thank you very much. It's been my pleasure. And to the viewers, you know, I would like to say, because of Washington Consultants, Guyana Roti Shop, and Land of Tyre, that's why this program is possible. You know, so without them, it wouldn't be possible. So we'd like to say thanks to each and every one of them. And you viewers, you can get the book. It's highly recommended by me. Where the Pomeroon Meet by James C. Richmond, a collection of poems about Guyana, the Caribbean, how CARICOM came about, some religious poems, and you enjoy it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And before I go, I'd like to thank our viewers again for joining me on Caribbean Body Talk. But before I go, I would like to leave you with this message. Surround yourself with a few good people. Share love, respect for each other, and knowledge. It will make a difference. I'm Christina Perry, your host. Thank you for watching, and see you next time on Caribbean Body Talk. Good night. Thanks.
When I'm not working, when I'm not playing, when I'm not shopping, I watch